try and crochet a commando.
Oh, was it the C captain with the beard?
With the beard. I'd like to see a crocheted beard on a crocheted action man. I think that might work quite well.
That'd be alright.
But, yeah, I had a friend actually who had loads of action men, and that's the only reason I was friends with him.
Really?
Because he had loads of action men. I didn't really like him.
You're quite fickle, aren't you?
I am. So,
what's the worst present you've ever had?
The worst present I've ever had.
Or given.
Or given.
You must have given some dodgy ones.
Oh, crikey! Yes. Do you know what? You know what I gave to my mother once?
Go on.
You know how, like, really bad markets, you get, like, terrible pictures of Victorian boy crying?
Yeah.
I bought one of those for my mum, right? With big eyes, you know, slightly too big eyes. Very
slightly Spanish looking.
Yeah, and a big tear rolling down his cheek. And I saw it, I was about 8 years old, and I thought, that is amazing. That is so moving, that picture. And I gave it to my mother, and she went, oh, that's nice, and put it under the bed. Never saw it again.
Never saw it.
No.
Well, there's a curse on those pictures, isn't there? That fires or something. That if you have one in your house burns down.
Really?
Yeah, that's what I've heard. The crying boys and girls.
Yeah. Oh, very, very, very cute.
I once bought my wife a toaster bags.
Toaster bags?
Yeah. They're a special formulated polymer bag that you can put beans in.
Listen, I'll hold that because this is going to get complicated. I will talk about those weird. We'll talk about bean bags or toaster bags afterwards. I want to play this next song. It's called. It's quite interesting this because John and I are both into theme tunes from like 1970s programs, and this one's from a series I've never heard of called Take Three Girls, and it's from a band called Light Flight, who sound a bit like Steel Eye Span. Tell me what you think of this. There we go, that was Light Flight, theme from Take Three Girls, very Maddie Pryor-ish. I always think when I hear that folky song that it sounds like the kind of woman who, very interesting, but you won't want to go out with her. But the kind of woman I think might have opened a health food store in the 1970s selling free-range eggs in North Wales in 1978. But John, no, that's right. No, just to go back, we'll talk about health food stores in a minute because it's a very, very fruitful area. But John, you were telling us about the worst Christmas present you bought your missus, and please explain it to the listeners.
Toaster bags. What a toaster bag is if a toaster is the only means of heating that you have, you pour the baked beans into the toaster bag and heat the beans in the toaster. So you can have beans on toast. Without the use of a microwave, it's all done in the one machine. That my missus has never used this before.
Do you know what? That's absolutely. Do you know why that's absolutely? Well, first of all, it's obviously very sad. I mean, that's. I think that's innovation. That sounds like the last meal. If you had to do beans on toast, all in a toaster, it sounds like the last meal before you top yourself. Right? But I tell you, and also, what's the point of it? I mean, you can't. It's not like it's good for going camping, or is it? You can't take a toaster camping. What?
Shows an egg on the packet.
It shows an egg. You do an egg in it.
Do an egg in it.
So you can have egg and beans on toast.
Yeah, you can have egg on toast.
Breakfast. Do you know what? I've changed my mind.
I think sausage in it. It shows a burger, I'm sure.
I think it's now a good idea. Okay.
Do you know what? I think I'll bring them in.
Do bring them in.
I'll bring them in.
Okay. Now this is very interesting. This next. We'll talk about health food shops in a minute. I want to get on to the next track. This is by Jem, and we like this because she samples the Swingle Singers, who used to be on the Two Ronnies before they were ousted by Barbara Dixon.
And Bearcats.
Yeah, and there must be about 2 people in Britain who knew what you meant then. Not Britain, Oldham. How much is it to Oldham? How much is it to Oldham? Oh, I've done that joke. Right. Okay. Here it is. Jem and they. Troubling. Oh yeah, I love Jem. I think I've got a big crush on her. If anyone knows Jem, I mean, I met Jem at Zoe Ball's wedding. Yeah, in the swimming pool. She was.
Did you bump your head?
I did. No, banged my nose in the swimming pool diving in the shallow end. So you know, even celebrities have minor mishaps like that. Yeah, Jem, the Swingle Singers. Remember the Swingle Singers? Those people who used to sing that. And the blokes used to have beards. Blokes used to have beards and wear big velvet bow ties.
That's right.
And the women used to wear those long nighties that came right up to the neck, right down to the feet, as if the kind of nightie a lady might wear if it was the time of the month, as a kind of signal to the husband.
Of course.
Yeah.
But slightly shrouded.
Slightly shroudy. Yeah. Nothing sexy about it at all. dear. And hair all piled up on the top of the head. What was all that about?
Not good.
Now, going back to health food shops, talking about health food shops before, I do like going in health food shops. I do like the food. I mean, I don't like the food. I just feel
like pie in the sky.
I do. Do you know? I do like pies. Do you know? I'm not blowing my own trumpet, but I was living in LA for 3 months, and the food there is all sort of health food oriented, and I just missed pie and chips.
There's no pies in LA, are there?
And there's no pie and chips now. People are very shallow, and they're all full of themselves. They've got very nice bodies, but so what? You know. And it was great coming back to Manchester, having pie and chips, and you can keep all the superficial people in LA. All right, their life expectancy is about twice as long as people here, but it swings in roundabouts. But anyway, health food shops, you go in there and they sell, and I used to, you know, I go in there sometimes and buy like brown rice, multi-grain rice. It takes about 2 hours to boil. You know, to plan your meal in advance, which I'm not very good at. But John, tell us the health food shop that you went into recently, the slightly fascist one. You know, inverted sort of fascist sort of.
Oh yes, there's a shop.
Don't say the name of it.
I won't be. Don't worry. I know how litigious society is now. So.
Let's call it Nutties.
Yes, we'll call it Nutties. Because the people that work there are slightly nutty. I went in and I was making nasi goreng, Indonesian rice, and I wanted some really nice organic eggs to put on because you put an egg on the top of nasi goreng. And I went up to the person in the shop. It's an organic supermarket in Chorlton, and
that's narrowed it down. Go on.
And I approached one of the staff there, who was like an old lady. It was a pensioner with dreads and a pierced nose, and I thought, oh, that's put me back up already. And they said, excuse me, I can't seem to locate your eggs. And she looked at me and went, we don't sell eggs. And I didn't, it was a vegan shop.
All right.
So I said, there, well, if you don't sell, I said, you can keep your garlic cashews.
Right, this is... I can't think of a more appropriate link into the theme from the old documentary series, Man Alive. That was Man Alive. The theme from Man Alive, played when the olden days when things were miles better. According to everyone. Why do they always say, do you know when people say, oh, you could leave your front door open in the olden days, and people, there was nothing worth nicking. You couldn't, anything you could nick, you need 4 men to lift. There's only iPods you can put in your pocket, you know. Of course. In the old days, it was like, oh, you used to leave your door, what, they're going to steal? The sideboard. You know what I mean? It's just nonsense. What's a nonsense? We were talking about, that's right, in the olden days, because I like talking about the
Do you
olden
remember
days.
that public information film about locking your bike? And they had a montage of people saying, well, he had big handlebars, and there was a gay man on it with a Panama hat and a cravat, and he went, I'm not prepared to say what's in the saddlebag, it's personal.
Really?
Yeah, public information.
You believe that?
That was what he said.
I'm not prepared to say what's in the saddlebag, it's personal.
Really?
Yeah.
And it's funny, you could always tell gay people in the olden days because they wore a cravat and a big floppy cap. Yeah. And they wore this
like uniform,
walked along with a hand on the hip. You can't tell now. I mean, you could be one.
I know.
Right. That's right. No, the olden days in the 70s, what I used to love about there was the TV Times, Radio Times, was Anticipate.
Looking for the films.
And putting a pen and ringing the films you're going to watch and thinking, oh no, I'm going to make a choice between James Bond or that French film that might have some breasts in it. You know? So those dilemmas that you used to have. My friend of mine's got a copy of Radio Times from 1973. It's got Morecambe Wise and the 2 Ronnies on the cover, and I thought, imagine that landing on your doormat.
Yeah.
And rubbing your hands together and thinking, ooh, I'm going to have a great Christmas. But
do you watch the Queen? Do you watch the Queen's speech when it's on? Do you just
sometimes I watch it. Well, I watch it. Obviously, I'm a Republican. I think they should all be lined up against the wall. But sometimes I watch it and I go, she's not bad, really, is she?
I'm not very patriotic, but I sort of feel I feel I have to.
But people say she's all right. It's the others that are a waste of space. Anyway, we're going on to let's save this for later because I want to talk about video recorders and the demise of the video recorder. It's very sad, and the advent of DVDs and vinyl. Oh, it's all changing. It's all changing.
All digital and downloaded.
Anyway, let's listen to some interesting. Beautiful day there by U2, which was the opening.